The year is 1776. In the colonies of America, a spirit ignites. A spirit of defiance, a spirit of liberty. The air is thick with the fervor of revolution as ordinary men and women rise to challenge an empire. They gather in town squares, in taverns and in fields, speaking of freedom and the rights of man. The dream of a new nation free from tyranny begins to take shape in their hearts and minds. This is the American Revolution, a crucible from which a nation will be forged. Battles rage across the land, from the green fields of Lexington to the icy waters of the Delaware River. The Continental Army, under the leadership of George Washington, faces immense challenges, yet their resolve remains unbroken. Each skirmish, each sacrifice brings them closer to their goal of independence. Its triumph will reverberate across the globe, a beacon of hope for those yearning for self-determination. The ideals of the revolution, liberty, equality, and the pursuit of happiness, will inspire countless movements and revolutions around the world. From the streets of Paris to the fields of Latin America, the American Revolution will become a symbol of the fight against oppression. Imagine a world where this revolution, this audacious bid for freedom, is extinguished before it can truly blaze. The hopes and dreams of millions snuffed out like a candle in the wind. The battles lost, the leaders captured, the spirit of rebellion crushed under the weight of imperial might. The consequences, like ripples in a pond after a stone is cast, would be vast and far-reaching. The failure of the revolution would send shockwaves through history, altering the course of nations and the fate of countless individuals. The very fabric of the world as we know it would be irrevocably changed. The world we know, shaped by the ideals enshrined in the Declaration of Independence, would be a profoundly different place. The principles of democracy and human rights, which have become the cornerstone of modern society, might never have taken root. The vision of a government of the people, by the people, and for the people would remain an unfulfilled dream. The United States, a beacon of democracy and a global superpower, might never have existed. The land that would become America could have remained a collection of colonies ruled by distant powers, its people denied the chance to forge their own destiny. The innovations, the cultural contributions, and the leadership that the United States has provided to the world might never have come to pass. This is the story of what might have been, a journey into an alternate history where the American Revolution failed. A world where the dreams of the Founding Fathers were never realized and the course of history took a darker, more uncertain path. It is a world where the light of liberty was dimmed before it could shine brightly. It is a tale of missed opportunities, of stifled aspirations, and of a world grappling with the consequences of a revolution that never was. A world where the promise of freedom and equality was left unfulfilled and the struggle for human rights took a different, perhaps more arduous path. This is the story of a world transformed by the absence of a revolution that changed everything. The year is now 1783. The dream of an independent America lies in ruins, crushed beneath the heel of the mighty British Empire. The revolution has failed. The Continental Army, once a symbol of defiance, has been scattered, its leaders imprisoned or exiled. The hopes of a nation are extinguished. The British, eager to reassert their dominance and recoup the costs of a protracted and costly war, impose harsh terms on their rebellious colonies. The colonies are to be brought back into the fold, stripped of any semblance of autonomy. The seeds of resentment, sown during the war, begin to fester. The British, determined to prevent any future uprisings, maintain a tight grip on their American colonies. The Quartering Act, requiring colonists to house British troops, remains in effect a constant reminder of their subjugation. Taxes, once a rallying cry for revolution, are levied with renewed vigor, further fueling resentment among the populace. The dream of westward expansion, a driving force for many colonists, is dashed against the rocks of British policy. The proclamation of 1763, forbidding settlement west of the Appalachian Mountains, remains in place, confining colonists to the increasingly crowded eastern seaboard. The colonists, once filled with the spirit of self-reliance and independence, find themselves shackled by the chains of empire. Without the unifying force of a successful revolution, the 13 colonies remain a patchwork of disparate entities. their destinies now dictated from London. The divisions that plagued the Continental Congress during the war, the regional rivalries and economic disparities resurface with a vengeance. The southern colonies, heavily reliant on slave labor, bristle under the increasingly abolitionist sentiment in Britain. The seeds of future conflict, sown in the fertile ground of sectionalism, begin to take root. Section 5. The Empire's Grip, a world without America's spark. The failure of the American Revolution sends shockwaves across the globe. In France, on the brink of its own revolution, the news is met with trepidation. The American example, a shining city on a hill, has been extinguished. The French monarchy, emboldened by Britain's victory, cracks down on dissent, delaying the inevitable revolution. The world, witnessing the crushing defeat of the American colonies, recoils from the ideals of liberty and self-determination. The British Empire, its power and prestige enhanced by its triumph in America, tightens its grip on its vast colonial possessions. The sun, it seems, will never set on the British Empire. Section 6. The Chains of Servitude, Slavery's Prolonged Shadow. In the absence of a United States founded on the principles of liberty and equality, the institution of slavery tightens its grip on the American colonies. The fields of the South are filled with the anguished cries of men, women, and children, forced to labor under the scorching sun. Their sweat and blood fuel the economic engine of the colonies, enriching their masters while they remain shackled in chains. The British, though increasingly conflicted over the morality of slavery, are reluctant to risk further unrest by challenging the economic interests of their southern colonies. The debates in the halls of power are heated, but ultimately the fear of economic collapse and rebellion outweighs the growing moral concerns. The southern colonies' dependence on slave labor is seen as a necessary evil, a cornerstone of their prosperity. The abolitionist movement, deprived of its most powerful voice, struggles to gain traction. Early abolitionists face immense opposition and are often marginalized, their voices drowned out by the prevailing pro-slavery sentiment. They gather in small, secretive meetings, their resolve unwavering but their influence limited. Their dream of a world without slavery seems distant and almost unattainable. The transatlantic slave trade, though morally reprehensible, continues unabated, its human cargo destined for a life of toil and misery. The journey across the ocean is harrowing, with countless lives lost to disease, malnutrition, and despair. Those who survive the voyage are met with a harsh reality, sold into a lifetime of servitude and suffering. The ships, laden with human misery, are a stark reminder of the inhumanity that persists. The year is 1807, a pivotal moment in the history of the fight against slavery. Britain abolishes the slave trade. This landmark decision is a significant victory for abolitionists and a beacon of hope for those still in bondage. It marks the beginning of a long and arduous journey toward the eventual eradication of slavery. However, in the colonies of North America, slavery remains a fact of life. The abolition of the slave trade does little to alleviate the suffering of those already enslaved. The plantations continue to thrive on the backs of enslaved labor, and the fight for freedom and equality is far from over. The shadow of slavery looms large, a dark stain on the fabric of American history. Section 7. The Echoes of Revolution, a world still yearning. Despite the failure of the American Revolution, the yearning for liberty and self-determination does not die. It flickers like a candle in the wind, kept alive by the whispers of what might have been. In Latin America, the flames of revolution, ignited by the American example, are slow to catch. Simón Bolívar, the liberator of South America, looks to the north for inspiration, only to find a cautionary tale. The world, shaped by the absence of a United States, is a more cautious, more cynical place. The grand experiment of democracy, once a beacon of hope, is viewed with skepticism and distrust. Section 8. A Legacy Denied, the Unwritten Story of a Superpower. The United States, a nation founded on the ideals of liberty, equality, and opportunity, never comes to be. The global superpower that shaped the 20th century, championing democracy and challenging tyranny, remains an unwritten chapter in the annals of history. The Cold War, a clash of ideologies that defined a generation, never occurs. The world, shaped by the absence of American power and influence, is a vastly different place. The course of the 20th century, devoid of American intervention, takes a radically different path. Section 9. A world of what-ifs. The failure of the American Revolution is a stark reminder that history is not preordained. It serves as a powerful example of how the threads of fate can be woven in countless ways, each leading to a different tapestry of events. The world we know, shaped by the triumph of the American Revolution, is but one of many possible outcomes. Imagine a world where the colonies remained under British rule, where the Declaration of Independence was never signed, and the ideals of freedom and democracy took a different path. It is a world forever altered by the events of 1776, a world where the course of history took a decisive turn. The battles fought, the lives lost, and the dreams realized all contributed to the birth of a new nation. But what if those battles had been lost? What if the revolutionaries had been defeated? But in this alternate timeline, the world grapples with the consequences of a revolution that never was. The colonies, still under British control, would have faced a different set of challenges and opportunities. The struggle for independence would have taken on new forms, perhaps leading to future uprisings or a gradual shift towards autonomy. It is a world of what-ifs, a world where the dream of liberty, though extinguished in America, continues to flicker in the hearts of those who dare to dream of a better tomorrow. The spirit of revolution, the desire for freedom, and the quest for justice are universal and timeless. Even in a world where the American Revolution failed, the hope for a brighter future would persist, inspiring generations to come.